For every child and adult, mental health is a vital piece of our overall well-being. Everything that we can do to promote good mental health for ourselves and our children contributes to a healthier, more balanced, productive, and happy life. When we're not feeling well physically, people around us are quick to lend a hand, and most of us seek the support that we need to recover. We get help when we have a bad case of the flu or a more serious physical illness. We call our doctor and take time off work when necessary. So why is the story so different when it comes to our mental health? Why are we keeping it all inside?
I just woke up one day for school and I couldn't function. I was just on the floor crying and upset.
There was no joy, absolutely no joy. It was very hard for me to get through the day.
And then one thing led to another, and I kept crying and crying and crying, and I couldn't stop.
I was afraid that people would point at me and laugh.
You can't do this, you're sick, you can't work, you can't do this.
I can remember just literally shutting down, not letting anyone in.
Research shows that our reluctance to talk openly about mental illness is so strong that it prevents us from asking for help when we need it. All of us are affected when a family member or friend lives with a mental health challenge. Unfortunately, only 1 out of 5 people living with mental illness seeks or receives treatment. The good news is that 80 to 90% of mental illnesses respond well to treatment. 1 of every 5 adults and 1 of every 4 youth live with a diagnosable mental illness. Mental illness can affect people of any age, race, religion, or income. Mental illnesses are not a sign of personal weakness, lack of character, or poor upbringing.
A lot of people think, well, there's nothing wrong with me, there's nothing wrong with me. You're actually stronger if you're willing to say, hey, I can't deal with this.
And you'd be more
Help
surprised how many other people are in the same situation that you are. Because when you're in that situation, you feel like it's just you and you're alone and everyone else is normal and you're just this mess up and you can't control it. Where once you start getting help and you start talking to other people and like these people start supporting you, you realize that everyone else has that little bit of anxiety or that little bit of depression.
Anybody can be affected, anybody whatsoever.
Tell them you're a valedictorian. Tell them you're college with honors, because they wanted people to see that it happens to everybody.
Most of the people there who knew me were like, wow, if this could happen to you, it could happen to me.
With early intervention and treatment, one is likely to achieve recovery and experience a satisfying, productive, and meaningful life. We encourage you to say it out loud, to ask for help when you need it. Help is available, and it's okay to say you're struggling. It's okay to ask for help.
To say it out loud is one thing that each of us needs to learn how to do.
If you talk about it in a room full of people, other people will say, oh, you know, actually, I experienced that. I have experienced bipolar disorder a number of times in my life. The first time at the age of 40, usually it happens earlier. Mine was at 40. If you have racing thoughts at night, if you're not sleeping well, that is a big red flag. And nobody told me that when I was 40. And I didn't even know it about my sister, you know, who had had it in her teens. But that's a huge indicator. At one point, I felt superhuman, which is not good. I lost weight, wasn't sleeping well, and I ended up in the hospital. And the doctor really didn't know what was wrong with me. He thought it might be anorexia, you know, what's wrong here? And about 3 days into his discussions with me, I said, would it help you to know that my sister has experienced bipolar disorder? He said, that would help a lot.
My initial mental health diagnosis was post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and major depression. At about 6 months into what I'll call my unrecovery, psychiatrist said, Tom, we need to talk. Now when a psychiatrist tells you we need to talk, that may not always be what you want to hear. And he said, Tom, do you think it's normal for 47-year-old men to work 16 and 18-hour days, 6 and 7 days a week? I said, maybe not. He said, do you think it's normal for 47-year-old men to go out and play basketball with guys 20 years younger than they are for 2 and 3 hours at a time? I said, maybe not. He said, about that half bottle of booze that you drink every night before you go to bed. I said, do you think that might be a problem? I said, possibly. He says, I think you've had bipolar disorder since you've probably been in your teens. And what you did is you used work, you used exercise, and you used substances in order to medicate and kind of keep an even level. Well, having been shot and waking up in a hospital with half my body paralyzed, I never had the ability anymore to do those types of things. So it's just kind of me and my mental health disorder at that point.
Little depression, but mostly anxiety. I just strive to be perfect, never achieve it, and then get upset. Hindsight, I can see that I've had it my whole life, but I didn't know it. With the low self-esteem and the thinking that everyone else is better than me.
Well, I just recently started dealing with all this. I figured out that I was dealing with depression last semester. At school, I never wanted to do anything. I never wanted to go out with my friends. I never wanted to go to class. I wanted to lay in my bed all day, every day. And I'd be like her and try to get everything done at the same time.
A lot of my anxiety comes out in the morning. I'll just wake up in the morning and I'm like, what am I gonna wear? What do I have to do? What day is it? What do I do first? And I have to talk myself through because I have all these thoughts in my head and they're just all spinning and I can't organize them.
You feel like someone's sitting on your chest, like it's like reaching up and up your throat and you can't like get enough air. And
it's just like a tightness, and then sometimes it'll subside throughout the day and then sometimes it doesn't. And that's when I know I'm in trouble, is when it doesn't subside.
Your brain is just circling and circling and circling and it won't stop. Like, you can think about 15 things within 2 minutes. It just won't stop. You can't just relax.
I had postpartum depression. It did not have anything to do with my willpower. It was something outside of myself. I truly felt as if I was like in this abyss and I just kept sinking, you know, lower and lower and lower, and I couldn't get out of it. I just couldn't get out of it. And I was feeling guilty because here I had these 3 children and I thought, what is wrong with me? Why? This is what I've wanted and I love these kids, you know, these children, but yet I couldn't find any joy. I felt incredibly guilty as a mother and I felt incredibly guilty as a person, and I would think to myself, how many people would love to trade positions with me and love to have, you know, my life? And at that point, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand myself and I couldn't stand my life.
I called it a stress overload instead of a nervous breakdown. I was trying to do too many things and I got confused about things. I had literally shut down. I discovered that I had the mania part of bipolar, not the depression part. I wasn't sleeping. I thought I was more important than I was. I thought the work I had to do was bigger than it was. We went to Arizona and I was in very stress-free. I did my life how I wanted to. I had my husband, we had a dog, things were good. And then in July of 2004, he died of lung and brain cancer. And we'd made a pact that we would die together. And so I couldn't do it in Arizona. I came back in August 2004 and took sleeping pills to try to join in. I had a friend that knew about it. She called the next day. She couldn't handle it and she sent me to St. Francis. A good friend of mine got me seeking at the Red Cross, and that helped me a lot. It made me feel like if I could touch one person's life, and that maybe that's why I'm here today. I also feel that I'm here today to help people about mental health, to be able to talk about it.
When you're looking at someone that's early in recovery, and you can look them in the eye and share a little bit of your story and really relate to them on where they're at today, it's something that they call mutuality, a kind of an even level playing field so that we're kind of in the same place.
She knows what I go through and like what she goes through, so that helps a lot, is her knowing.
If he can do it, why can't I?
The first thing I think we can do is admit it and say it out loud. This is what's going on. Now what can I do about it?
Once I was diagnosed, it was like a relief. Oh, there really is, I mean, it's something. You know, I had identified, and now I know what I can work on, and now I know where it's coming from.
When I wake up in the morning, I wake up with a positive attitude, even before I got Cruiser. That after I got Cruiser, he helped because he gave me somebody to wake up with.
I just like myself. I like that I have friends that I never had before, and that I'm busy and active and involved in things.
I've noticed a big difference since she got help. She's more independent and she is more happy.
And today I live my life so much better than I did before when I had it all together, because I've learned boundaries. I've learned, you know what, when to say no. Sometimes I still take on too much, and that's unhealthy. There has to be a healthy balance between your spiritual, your emotional, your physical, and your mental. You have to take time for all of those dimensions in order to be a full, more rounded person.
Wellness is taking a look at mind, body, and spirit, and treating them all, not just the, here, take this pill and come and see me in 2 months.
Balance is a key, and I think your physical and mental health are combined. I don't think we can separate them.
The most important thing is there should be no shame or guilt. And you know, someday I think we're all going to grow beyond that.
Now it's talked about, and rightly so, because it's like any other illness.
If you get help, whether it's medication, counseling, or group therapy, if you shut yourself off, then nobody's gonna know if you don't say it.
It's never too late to get help.
Never too late.
And if you feel like something really is wrong, then go find help. Don't just try to ignore it, because it's not gonna go away.
Call the Mental Health Association and talk with a staff member and say, this is my situation. What should I do? What do you recommend?
Mental wellness is appropriate for everybody. You know, people need to know their emotional level. Whether you experience depression or bipolar disorder, you need to know how you navigate through life emotionally. So mental wellness is for everybody.
The mission of the Mental Health Association of Illinois Valley is to promote mental health through education, awareness, and advocacy. We're here to help you connect with the appropriate community resources. We can help you complete a mental health checkup, which will provide you with information about your current mental health. For general information or referrals, you can call our office during business hours at 309-692-1766. If you are experiencing an immediate crisis or having thoughts of suicide, we are here to provide a listening ear and help you through that crisis. You can call our 24-hour Call for Help crisis hotline at 309-673-7373. There is no health without mental health. Ask for help. Say it out loud.
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 Say it out loud.